The Joker game. This is very often played among guys. It's a little bit more frequent among males anyways. And this is where a guy will play the Joker to get attention, and he'll use other people as the bait and sometimes the butt of the joke. The Joker game is usually used to get appreciation, to look like the popular guy. A lot of guys fall into this trap when they learn that maybe they do have a pretty good sense of humor, but they overdo it. They use the sense of humor to push things maybe a little too far. They'll think they're a little funnier than they actually may be. Very often, their humor also comes across with a bit of an angry edge, so you can tell that there's some anger behind what they're doing. And a lot of guys, I'm sure, experience this when they go out to talk to women or go out to bars, and there's always a guy out there looking to mess up your game. This is an external game. It's used very offensively, sometimes defensively. If he senses that the social situation is not working out quite right, he turns into Joker guy and turns the tables. I've done this from time to time myself. And very often it's a game that we play as acquaintances, as just meeting somebody or trying to endear yourselves within a group. And it is, in a lot of ways, a self-esteem game. It's a game that's internal in some ways because we're trying to make sure we don't feel too bad about ourselves, or maybe we don't feel confident about our social skills or social interactivity or even our popularity within a group, and so we raise it up by using humor. The prize is, of course, appreciation, attention, feeling validated. Watch out for guys that do this. There are some women that will do this too. There are some women with a bit of a sarcastic and edgy part of their personality. One of the people that I think of when I think of this particular kind of personality is Janine Garofalo, and the way that she sometimes uses her humor as a way to knock other people down a notch. It has a little bit of an angry edge, but it sometimes feels attention-seeking. Let's face it, all comedians have this edge to them. It's why they do what they do. And the tricky part of the game is it's hard to defend against, because if you go against humor in a lot of ways, you look like what? The over-serious person, the one who's not capable of taking a joke, and it makes you look bad. The way to offset it is to always come across with a very easygoing sense of humor yourself, and I always find a good way of telling the other person, okay, you're going a little far, time to pull back a little bit. And I use that gently to see what their response is going to be. If they lash back with something like, what's the matter, man, can't you take a joke? That kind of defense, I know the kind of person I'm dealing with. Most people, though, will respond favorably if you use a little bit of a soft edge and you say something like, all right, Mr. Comedian, what's the next joke? You got to point it out in a gentle way, but in a way I was actually kind of asking for more, wasn't I? And that way it doesn't seem like I'm getting indignant, getting angry, or getting defensive myself. Now, there's a good variation of this game. And again, this is often done among men because this is the way we tend to relate to each other, but it also works within women as well, depending on how the language is used and how the social situation is managed. The good variation is this: when it's done to kick your butt into gear when you're slacking. And this game, of course, is a matter of perception. To certain people with no real social awareness, it's sometimes necessary to kind of give them a little bit of a kick in the ass. But very often it can also be abused by people who don't know the difference between being assertive and being a real ass. You may have seen this from time to time. Guys tend to interact this way, especially when they're younger. If somebody's not paying attention, they'll get a little flick on the ear or a little, come on, man, pay attention. What's the matter? You stay up late last night watching Seinfeld reruns? Come on, man, wake up. It's a little bit of chiding, but it's meant to get the other person to get it in gear. As long as it isn't used too abrasively, too aggressively, and for too long, it can actually be the necessary step to getting somebody to wake up and pay attention to their lives and what's going on around them.